And one of the recent crazier pushes has been that we ought to feel bad for people that are breaking the law. We should understand why they have to break the law.
A Cook County court has reversed some of Dolton Mayor Tiffany.
At last night's village board meeting, Mayor Tiffany Henyard revealed a 30-day temporary appointment for the police chief, village attorney, special counsel, and executive assistant. This move appeared to be an effort to gain sympathy, possibly trying to influence public opinion in her favor amid increasing backlash over her leadership choices. In a recent online segment, political commentator Candace Owens sharply criticized Henyard, accusing her of resorting to blackmail in an attempt to hold on to power. Known for her outspoken views, Owens condemned Henyard for allegedly engaging in unethical practices that have left local residents feeling oppressed. Owens accused Henyard of intimidating citizens and threatening to cut off municipal services, unless they either supported her leadership or remained silent about her actions. Owens claimed that Henyard was using dishonesty and coercion to silence any opposition, describing these tactics as blatant abuses of authority. She also referenced reports from Dolton residents who said they were pressured into staying quiet about the mayor's controversial behavior. This is not the first time Henyard has been caught up in scandal, ongoing corruption allegations, and multiple lawsuits against her administration have sparked growing public outrage. Owens argued that a leader who resorts to coercion and blackmail to retain support is clearly unqualified to lead. She stressed that Henyard's actions reflect a larger pattern of unethical behavior, raising serious concerns about the dangers of unchecked power. Owens concluded that the situation in Dolton underscores the lengths to which Henyard will go to maintain control, resulting in increasing distrust among residents.
It's everywhere in the entire world when your parents break the law. It's actually quite audacious to be willing to appear on camera and to...
According to local community leaders, the Henyard administration has employed intimidation tactics to marginalize anyone who challenges her authority or questions her decisions. Political analyst Candace Owens expressed outrage over what she saw as a collapse in Henyard's leadership, reprimanding local authorities for their sluggish response to the allegations and calling for immediate action. Owens urged the people of Dolton to reject what she perceived as a growing wave of local oppression and to investigate Henyard's alleged extortion practices. She stressed the importance of having leaders who support their communities, not those who work against them, emphasizing that corruption must be eradicated. Owens called for a full investigation into Henyard's actions, warning that if the allegations prove true, there could be serious legal consequences. Many Dolton residents, particularly those already dissatisfied with Henyard's leadership, felt encouraged by Owens's powerful remarks. These residents rallied behind Owens's call for change, echoing her concerns about the mayor's coercive methods and alleged blackmail, which they believed were damaging the community. On the other hand, Henyard's supporters argued that she had been unfairly accused, with some suggesting that Owens's criticism was too harsh and lacked sufficient evidence. Despite this, Henyard's administration has come under mounting scrutiny, with expectations growing that she will face increased public backlash in the coming weeks, especially after Owens's inflammatory comments added fuel to the already tense political atmosphere in Dolton. Social media exploded in response, with many residents voicing dissatisfaction with Henyard, accusing her of using coercive methods to silence criticism and suppress dissent. Some even suggested that Henyard should step down due to the rising blackmail allegations and public scrutiny following Owens's outspoken condemnation. Meanwhile, Henyard posted a message online congratulating President Trump on his 2024 election victory. In her post, she praised Trump for his historic comeback and called for unity and cooperation moving forward, stating, "Let's put our differences aside and work together," which reflected a focus on teamwork and looking toward the future. This message, shared just an hour after Trump's victory, stood in stark contrast to her previous political rhetoric. Some viewed her sudden shift in tone as an attempt to align herself with Trump to salvage her reputation amid the growing controversies surrounding her leadership. "I believe we can restore America to its former glory," Henyard continued in her post. "I have many great ideas to share, and I would like to meet with you to discuss the situation in Dolton and Thorne Township," she added, mentioning that she had sent Trump a personal message and hoped to work together for the greater good. Henyard's public support for Trump appeared to be a strategic move, particularly considering the mounting political and legal pressures she was facing. The timing of her post caught many by surprise. Typically, political leaders offer dry, formal congratulations after an election, emphasizing unity. However, Henyard's message stood out because of her enthusiastic praise for Trump's victory, which was declared earlier than many had anticipated. Trump's decisive win shocked the political world, and it became clear that Henyard was publicly embracing the president. The tone of her message raised questions about her sincerity, with many pointing out the irony of Henyard's comments, given her troubled history in Dolton. Henyard's administration has been plagued by accusations of stifling dissent and creating a hostile environment for those who oppose her. She has faced numerous legal battles, including lawsuits alleging abuse of power, suppression of criticism, and corruption. Her reputation in Dolton has been tarnished by reports of coercive tactics and unethical practices. The combination of her ongoing legal troubles, public backlash, and the growing allegations against her has cast a shadow over her ability to lead effectively. Henyard's political future now seems uncertain, as both residents and political. Analysts question whether her actions are genuine or simply a calculated attempt to align herself with a national figure to regain support. The situation in Dolton remains tense, with Henyard's leadership under increasing scrutiny as her legal and ethical challenges continue to unfold. The controversy surrounding her leadership, coupled with her sudden attempt to align with Trump, suggests that Henyard's political career could be in jeopardy, leaving the future of Dolton in question. Tiffany Henyard's recent actions have raised numerous questions about her true motivations and leadership abilities. Critics accuse her of using coercion to silence residents and critics, leading many to wonder if her public call for unity is sincere or just a desperate attempt to cover her tracks. Henyard's leadership has often been seen as self-serving, with critics arguing that she has been more focused on maintaining her position than on genuinely serving the people of Dolton. She has been criticized for failing to attend meetings unless they benefit her image or when something is at stake. Even her trustees in Dolton have voiced frustration, believing she is more concerned with holding on to power than with addressing the needs of the town. Her recent attempt to align herself with former President Trump seems like a desperate move to shift public opinion and gain favor with a more powerful figure, with Trump's return to the presidency giving him undeniable influence. Henyard may be hoping that his influence is large enough to recognize her as a valuable ally, despite her troubled track record. This shift is particularly ironic considering Henyard's history of underhanded tactics to maintain control over Dolton, including silencing opposition and isolating critics. Her attempt to publicly praise Trump, despite her record of political maneuvering and alleged corruption, has left many questioning whether she hopes Trump's comeback will shield her from the consequences of her actions, or if she is simply seeking validation from a political figure with far-reaching influence. Henyard's shift in tone could also be motivated by the mounting legal pressure she faces. She is currently dealing with lawsuits and accusations of corruption, with a federal government investigation reportedly underway into her administration. The timing of her post, crafted just after Trump's victory, could be seen as an attempt to curry favor with a potential ally while diverting attention from her troubled past. However, The idea that Henyard is embracing Trump to cooperate seems unconvincing, especially given her leadership style, which has been one of division and control. Her struggles with maintaining good relationships with her trustees and local officials make it difficult to believe her newfound call for unity is anything more than political posturing. Henyard's comments about Trump have also raised questions about her true political loyalties as someone who has positioned herself as a Democrat. Her sudden support for the Republican president seems opportunistic, especially considering the political landscape in Dolton. If Henyard genuinely wants to align herself with Trump, she will need to do more than just post online messages. She will have to prove that she can work in a bipartisan manner and foster real cooperation, something that has been sorely lacking in her leadership so far. She faces mounting criticism, legal battles, and growing unrest within her community, all of which have made her leadership increasingly difficult to defend. Henyard's leadership is at a crossroads. Her recent actions, from her online message to Trump to her controversial management of Dolton, have only added to the already tense political climate in the area. Whether she will succeed in gaining Trump's support or face further fallout remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. Henyard's attempt to present herself as a collaborative leader may be too little, too late. The growing distress among residents and the pressure from ongoing investigations suggests that her political career could be nearing its end. Her future, along with that of Dolton, hangs in the balance as the community grapples with the fallout from her administration's actions. At tonight's Village Board meeting, Mayor Tiffany Henyard spoke out after public comments, addressing the issue of respect during the meeting. "You're talking about nothing, and when I say nothing, I mean you're really just fans of it, and I appreciate that," she said. "Normally, you come up here and talk about the business related to our event, but not one of you has talked about any business." From the start, the meeting was flawed beyond repair. Anyone hoping for an orderly discussion quickly saw it derail. The meeting, which was meant to foster open discussion and transparency, quickly descended into chaos under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. Rather than guiding the process in a democratic and collaborative way, Henyard's authoritarian approach dominated the proceedings, alienating colleagues, undermining dissent, and creating an environment of discomfort and dysfunction. Henyard, whose need for control and loyalty seemed paramount, sidelined Trustee Kill, making it clear that anyone who wasn't fully aligned with her would not be allowed to participate effectively. This behavior, marked by an exclusionary attitude, set the tone for the rest of the meeting, where any form of constructive dialogue was pushed aside in favor of Henyard's self-serving agenda. As the meeting unfolded, it became evident that Henyard was more interested in asserting her dominance than in solving problems or engaging with the concerns of her colleagues. Despite facing issues with security and pricing that could have been resolved through thoughtful collaboration, Henyard chose to push ahead recklessly, prioritizing her need to control the narrative over practical decision-making. She seemed to view every challenge to her authority as a personal affront, using the meeting as a platform to reinforce her power, even at the expense of the township's best interests. Trustee Gonzalez, recognizing the growing dysfunction, eventually left the meeting in protest. Instead of acknowledging the issues that led to his departure or reevaluating her approach, Henyard seized the opportunity to manipulate the situation, framing Gonzalez's exit as an act of abandonment and using it to rally around herself. She presented herself as the sole champion of transparency and accountability, particularly regarding the forensic audit of Thorne Township, which was tied to credit card usage by trustees Keith Freeman and Carroll, issues that Henyard herself had played a role in raising. By shifting focus away from her own leadership failures and positioning herself as the lone advocate for the people, Henyard sought to further secure her political position. This deflection strategy became increasingly apparent as Henyard's rhetoric took a more combative tone. She blamed Gonzalez's exit on the IT department, suggesting that his departure was due to technical issues, rather than acknowledging the deeper frustrations with her leadership style. In doing so, she framed herself as the only one truly fighting for the community, while undermining her colleagues and dismissing their concerns. The meeting, rather than being an opportunity for meaningful dialogue, became a spectacle in which Henyard used every moment to promote her own narrative, disregarding the input and perspectives of others. Henyard's manipulation and self-aggrandizement only deepened as the meeting continued. She portrayed herself as a misunderstood hero fighting against a corrupt system, positioning herself as the only one truly concerned about the welfare of the people. However, her nearly hour-long monologue increasingly revealed that her motivations were far more self-interested. She framed her opposition as self-serving and corrupt, turning the focus away from the community's real issues and instead using the meeting to secure her re-election and political future. One of the main issues Henyard highlighted was the $2.22 million tax fund for Thorne Township homeowners, which she claimed was taxpayer-funded and therefore owned by the people. However, as her speech dragged on, it became clear that her concerns about transparency were not genuine. Instead, she was using the issue to further her own political agenda. Henyard's fabrications, accusing anyone who disagreed with her of being part of an unnamed hate group or undermining the meeting, were disruptive and manipulative. She framed herself as a martyr, while invalidating the complaints of her colleagues and detractors. The public, increasingly disillusioned with Henyard's behavior, grew tired of the political drama. They had not come to the meeting expecting a reality TV-style spectacle. They wanted real leadership, not a mayor who took every disagreement personally and turned every discussion into a battle. As Henyard's rhetoric became more self-serving and her leadership more autocratic, it became clear that she was willing to sacrifice collaboration, transparency, and the community's best interests in order to maintain her grip on power. Trustee Carroll, meanwhile, was caught in the middle of the chaos. While she remained uncertain about her next steps, her role had become increasingly contentious. Her list of achievements was quickly overshadowed by Henyard's finger-pointing and self-promotion, and she found herself stuck trying to carry out her duties while navigating the fallout from Henyard's chaotic leadership. As tensions mounted and frustration grew within the board and the community, it became clear that the atmosphere had become toxic. The idea of civil discourse and transparent decision-making was rapidly fading. The public forum, which was supposed to serve as a platform for problem-solving and collaboration, had instead become a tool for Henyard to advance her own agenda, at any cost. Driven by ego and a thirst for power, Henyard's actions had undermined the trust of both her colleagues and the community. Her leadership, once a symbol of authority, had now become a display of self-interest, manipulation, and ego protection. As the meeting came to a close, the damage had been done. Henyard's actions had only further alienated those who once believed in the integrity of the democratic process. The public was left questioning her ability to lead effectively, while the board was left to pick up the pieces of the chaos she had orchestrated. The meeting, intended to be a platform for collaboration and problem-solving, had instead highlighted Henyard's desperate attempts to control the narrative and secure her political future, regardless of the cost to the community.